crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I am here with a card for Create a Smile stamps. I am using some of their past winter and Christmas stamps to create my card today, but I did want to let you know that Create a Smile stamps did just have a brand new release with a lot of really beautiful / adorable stamps. They have like an ornament set that has gorgeous detail to it, similar to the gorgeous detail of these snowflakes that I'm using to create my background today. So I do urge you to check out the link in the video description, see what the new stamps are if you haven't already, and place that order soon so you're ready for some Christmas crafting. So to get started, I am using the Snowflake Whispers stamp set to create a custom background. I really enjoy creating custom backgrounds, but I struggled with it until I had the Distress Oxide inks because a lot of times I had a hard time getting a really beautiful impression just by stamping with stamp blocks. You know, I have the Lawn Fawn inks and the Hero Arts inks and Memento, and you know, they do a pretty good job stamping, but every once in a while it won't be perfect, and that will kind of frustrate me. So I actually find that I get the absolute best impressions with my Distress Oxide inks. They are amazing for solid stamping, and one reason this is because they have that pigment property. So it allows them to stamp beautifully the way that pigment inks would, but they dry so much better than pigment inks. I've had in the past where pigment inks just never dry. They were always slightly wet, even, you know, days later, even if I used a heat gun and all that. When you're creating your own background with stamps like this, I always suggest starting with the largest and then moving to the smallest stamp. The Snowflake Whisper stamp set has snowflakes in many sizes. I went with the second largest for my large, and you might notice that I put it in a visual triangle. I put it in 3 spots. And I did eventually decide that I wanted to add more of them. I wasn't sure if I added, I didn't want to add 5 or 6 to begin with because I wanted to make sure there was enough room for some of the smaller stamps. But once I started filling things in and I saw there was room, I did keep that odd bunch for them. So there was 3 originally, then when I stamped extra, I made sure that there was 5, just because things tend to look a little better in odds, just more visually pleasing. And I did know that I wanted to put an image in the center, so I concentrated my large snowflakes outside of the center. And then I started filling in with the smaller. I used the Faded Jeans, Salty Ocean, and Broken China Distress inks to create my background, just 3 different colors of blue. I felt like that was more interesting. You also might have noticed that I have a little bit of detail around the edges of both the fox panel and the snowflake panel. And those were cut with my Cat Scrappiness cross-stitched dies. Now, Create a Smile does have some stitch detailing dies, and they are in the European sizes. So if you're in Europe, I certainly recommend checking those out. They might be, better suited to the cardstock that's available to you, and obviously getting shipped from Create a Smile works really great for you guys. Here in the US, obviously we have to wait a long time, but you guys have to wait a long time for like everything else. So definitely fair there. So to kind of punch up a bit the card, instead of just having the stitch detail, which I think is great, like I said, it's a cross stitch detail, so they're like little X's, I still wanted something else to separate them because I didn't want the fox to get lost in the snowflake background. I wanted the snowflake background, I wanted him to pop off of it. So I created a square that was slightly larger than the stitched square, and then I created a rectangle that was slightly larger than the stitched rectangle. And I pulled in the colors from the snowflakes. So the large rectangle is in Faded Jeans, and I just wiped the edges of my Distress Oxide ink all around the edges of the piece of white cardstock, and it creates a nice custom mat. And then I did the same thing with Salty Ocean for the square. So rather than having to fuss through my cardstock and try to find something that matches, I have an automatic match here. And I've done this many, many times. This tip you've seen me do over and over, but I still think it's, a really useful tip, and so I hope that it helps somebody in the future. Now, I had videoed me coloring the fox, but then my head was in the way like the whole time. And it really wasn't any sort of amazing coloring. So I decided to skip that part and just kind of focus on the tip of creating a background with smaller stamps and that simple tip of how to create custom mats. But I did use YR04 and 07 to color the fox, and then B24 and 28 to color the scarf. I really love the way that orange pops off blue. I think it's a great color combination, and having everything be monochromatic except the fox allows the fox to really pop off the card and be center stage. And in this case, I kind of took a tip from my sister and did not add a sentiment. She does that a lot, where she doesn't add sentiments to the front of her cards, and I think that that is a great idea sometimes, so that this could be a thank you card in the in January, or a Christmas card if that's what you need. So that's it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. You can find the products in the video description below. You can also see the new products from Create a Smile at their website. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye.